I'd love it if you could just pop in the chat box a couple of your 1 or 2 top challenges that you face every day as a business owner or someone working in a busy business. They could be things like cash flow, not getting your invoicing out on time, not getting any marketing done, you want more leads. So if you can just pop a few in there, and that way I can make sure the content will be as relevant as possible for you guys.
Okay, I'll start to read some of these out. We've got cash flow, time management, invoicing, marketing, no-cost marketing. What else have we got here? Admin, paperwork, time to work on website, quoting, and we have too many distractions from Angie, more leads and time management, estimating, new leads, double handling, software.
So there's a lot of common themes there. As you can see, they are very common challenges, and all the people I work with do face similar challenges. So I'm sure you're going to get a lot out of today. So firstly, what we're going to cover, just a very brief history of what I'm about. We'll look at how the game is changing for running a trade business and why it's really important that you need to be aware of those changes. Some of the benefits of outsourcing as opposed to hiring someone internally. Where to find good virtual team members. The types of things you can outsource and the results that you should expect. Of course, those costly mistakes to avoid. And at the end, we're going to look at a real-life case study and also got something pretty cool and special for you guys to take away with as well. So I get it. I'm a tradie wife. I used to work full-time in a corporate job in the city, and then I'd come home and spend 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. and later some nights invoicing, sending out quotes, writing them out, posting, all the old school ways. And we were just following our tails all the time. We just weren't growing the business at all. We had no focus at all, and we weren't marketing or investing in our business, whether it be our time or in getting new leads. And what happens, there's a downturn and all of a sudden, things weren't going too well. So not long after that, I actually quit my job in the corporate world and started working virtually for other people so I could learn what they do and how they do it, and in particularly what technology tools and tricks that they would use that they could actually work anywhere. So that was about 5 years ago now, and back then the whole virtual assistant or working virtually model was basically unheard of, and people really didn't understand the concept. Now technology has come on so much further, it's quite more of an acceptable business model. So then I realised that basically that tradies and field service businesses were the ones that needed the most help and often aren't as tech savvy as they need to be, and often don't need offices and the hassles with staffing that can bring on. So I started Tradies VA, and that's a specialised business support agency where we look at virtual staff, cloud technology, in particularly those that help businesses that work from the road, and also low cost and easy to do online marketing solutions. So just quickly, I know the term VA is often not really understood, so I'll just give a brief explanation now. So generally speaking, a virtual assistant is a contractor or self-employed person, and also could be an employee, that provides professional, admin, technical or creative services remotely from a home office. So basically they work for your business but not in front of you, they work remotely off-site. So what we find with most of our businesses that we meet and clients is they feel completely chained to their business, and they're just not getting that work-life balance that they thought of when they started their business. I know so many customers thought, yeah, they'd work hard during the day and come home and the world would be great, but not coming home at 6 o'clock, spending the next 2 hours doing paperwork at night, or losing Saturday mornings to quoting it and catching up on paperwork. And the daily tasks and struggles that they go through now, it's just the constant phone calls all the time of all these micro daily mini emergencies that I call them that really as a business owner shouldn't be needing to deal with. There's so many more emails getting sent these days, and just generally the speed at which business is done is just making so many owners feel trapped and overwhelmed. And basically they get sick of doing paperwork and working weekends. But the worst of it is there's nothing to show for the bank account at the end of it, and cash flow is still an issue. So luckily, there certainly is a new way of doing business that is helping with all these problems. So technology now is offering a choice and freedom at a reasonable cost that was never thought possible before. No longer is it a pipe dream to be able to work from anywhere. Perhaps you'd like to wake up here, or have your smoko in a nice little Italian cafe, or not worry about to that view. And it really is possible and easy to get this dream life now. It certainly is able. So let's look at how easy it can be and why we must start paying attention to how technology is changing the game. The boom in cloud technology and mobile devices is changing the way you do business, and certainly in the last 10 to 5 years. You and your team can now access all the information you need to operate your business from anywhere at any time. Beach, pub, couch, it doesn't matter anymore. As long as you have an internet access, you can run and create a booming and successful business. The reason why it matters to us now as business owners is that customers are so much more savvy today than ever before. The internet and online sharing information has changed the way that customers react with us and make buying decisions. You can no longer pull the wool over their eyes. It will do is no longer an option. Everything you do in your business now forms part of the customer buying decision. And if this is the only thing you take away from today, I can't emphasise enough how every interaction your business has with you will affect their decision to buy with you. So now you need to show them exactly what your business is about and quickly, and this matters in every part of your business process. Buyer behaviours have changed, and I do believe that the trade industry has been very slow to understand this. To be successful now, we need to educate, communicate, help, inspire, and then sell to our customers. Google refers to this as the zero moment of truth, the change in how consumers approach the decision-making process, and now that they have instant on-demand access to purchasing information. Studies have shown that the average shopper or consumer uses 10.7 sources of information before making a buying decision, and that's compared to just 5 sources only 12 months prior. So never has it been more important to streamline your business, effectively communicate what your business has to offer, and to secure competitive advantages wherever you can. So to be successful now, you must stand out and be remembered in a very crowded marketplace. Referrals and social proof will now make or break a business. So it's critical that every interaction that your business has with your potential customers is the best it can be. It's so easy to share good and bad information now that you have to be aware of that in every stage and every department of your business. You know, it comes down to how quickly is the phone answered. No longer are people willing to leave a message. They'll just quickly go to the next number on Google. The response time to inquiries. People want responses now. They've got the time, they want to get an answer straight away. They want to go to your website and make sure that all the information they need is already there. They want no longer running late is acceptable. The whole quoting process, they do want the price instantly and as accurately as possible with as much information as possible for them to make a decision. But it doesn't stop there once the job does happen. They also want follow-up. They want to make sure that you care and are being looked after. So everything in your business now matters. So your support structure has never been as important as it is right now. Your focus as a business owner or manager must be in developing strategies to cater for this new landscape and changes to customer habits. So take a moment now and think about the things you do every day in your business. Is your attention where it should be in your business? And I really suggest over the next few days of just having a piece of paper, next to your desk or where you are, and just write down all the things that you do in your day and review. Think about it, because are you spending enough on the things that count? Are you strategizing for growth and preparing for the next downturn? Spending more time with your top 20% of clients, which generally account for 80% of your revenue. Are you coming up with innovative new products and services for your industry so you can stay on top? Are you networking enough? Are you looking at the referrals and how you can get more of those? Because I know that is a really great way and low-cost way to market your business, and I know that's been covered in previous HIA webinars about how important that is. Developing better supplier relationships. Are you really getting the best deal that you possibly could? And can you get more business from your suppliers? Or spending time reviewing your numbers. Certainly as business owners now, we don't spend enough time understanding what our numbers are showing to us. So again, I ask you, are you focusing on the right things? And do you have the right support team right now to take you forward and implement these growth strategies that I know that you're now going to start focusing on? So no longer is doing your paperwork at night and just catching up, just put your head above water, going to be enough to survive. So the signs that it's probably time you need to get help, and I'm sure personally you will already know a lot of these, and it's generally basic, a feeling of overwhelm and that you're hiding constantly behind a pile of admin, that you're not doing those generating activities that are going to bring you in revenue and increase your sales and leads. You're just not getting to all those things that you want to do to grow your business, like updating your website or getting a new brochure made. You want less stress in your life, and you certainly want to be more productive, perhaps even getting a good night's sleep. You certainly don't want any hassle of recruiting, hiring and training staff. You just want to get help and you want the job done now. The other thing to look at is, do you actually need a physical office? And weigh up the benefits of, and the savings of passively getting rid of that and going virtually. And the big one, is it affecting your personal and family relationships? I certainly have over a few years saved a few marriages, I can tell you. And you want and you need more margin in your life to do what you love. So really, are you spending enough time each week doing the things that you love, or are you just feeling constantly trapped by your business? So why go virtual? So certainly, there is an option of hiring an admin person or wherever you need help to come in and sit next to you, but there certainly are a lot of benefits to looking at a virtual model. So you're opening yourself up for a greater talent pool. So no longer is it location dependent. So it doesn't mean you have to have someone within a certain radius of kilometres. You certainly can, but you don't need to. So that gives you the opportunity to hire from a much wider range of highly skilled and talented candidates that may have not been previously available to you. There are a lot of cost savings. Really look at the figures that it costs you to run an office. The leasing, the equipment, stationery, electricity, printing, all the things that come with running those physical premises. And do you really need them now? Especially if your staff are getting their job sheets or information via the cloud. And also it can significantly reduce your HR costs and headaches. So if set up correctly, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, you don't need to pay workers' compensation, super, holiday, sick pay, tax hassles, all that paperwork. All that's gone. It's just one weekly invoice or monthly invoice. And generally, the real cost of a staff member is about 35% more than their actual salary when you take into consideration all the extra things you need to worry about. Now, I will say that if you do hire an employee directly that works from home, that all those HR issues and costs will still be associated, and I will touch on that more in a little bit. So also, you offer a degree of flexibility that you may not have had previously. So unlike an employee, where often you have to have a 3 or 4 hour minimum shift, with a VA, you can actually pick and choose when you need them to work, and can have, if you're busier some weeks than others, you can certainly manage the relationship that way. Just a word of caution that some more experienced VAs will actually have set hours or guaranteed hours just to make sure they are available for when you need the work done. Sometimes VAs, particularly ones that are solo VAs that work for themselves and on their own, will often take on more work than they can handle some weeks, so your work gets pushed back and may not meet the deadlines that you need. And I'll talk about how to manage that coming up. Because they often work with different industries and people, they often have many other skill sets that you may not have previously thought of, and certainly can offer more valuable information with different programs and procedures that they may have done with other clients. It can increase the productivity of your staff member, because think about it, a lot of it can be task-based rather than time-based. And so there's also added benefit of no office politics, socialising, Facebook, etc., worker downtime during the day. And one of the biggest things for going virtual is that flexible working conditions now and work from home opportunities are a highly desirable feature in the workplace. So you will often find that virtual staff place a much higher value on your position than traditional staff, and often can go above and beyond to secure their future in the role. This in turn attracts a higher skilled and more valuable staff members, and just generally valuing your role higher will make them invest more in the outcomes that you want as a business owner. So that's one of the biggest things I find, is by getting the right person who wants a work from home position will really benefit you in the long run. So now that you've perhaps found the right person, what kind of things can you outsource? Well, really just about anything in the back end or front end of your business. And we say basically anything except making your coffee is just about what we can do. But some of the most common jobs that we do that we find make the biggest difference: chasing overdue accounts, getting your invoices out in time to help with cash flow, responding to leads and following up quotes to help increase your conversion rate. So the quicker we can get a response to quotes and book them in if you need to go on site has such a significant improvement in your chance to convert and win the job. And that's probably the #1 benefit that people see by outsourcing. And that whole calendar management, booking in jobs and things like that. And also, outsourcing can get all those jobs done that you want to but never have the time and actually market your business. So newsletters, updating your social media, websites, design, brochures, all those types of things that you always put on the back burner because you never have enough time, can certainly be allocated and regular tasks for a VA, so that you are growing your business as well as you focusing on the things that matters. So what can be some of the results that you can expect if you get outsourcing done the right way? So probably one of the biggest ones is new customers and leads, increase in sales, improved productivity and efficiencies, cost savings and improved profitability, increased credibility in the marketplace now that your phone's getting answered better, or your quotes and invoices are going out in time, your website's always up to date with the latest photos and portfolios. And you also have an increased focus on growth strategies, and as we all know, what you focus on grows. You get that elusive work-life balance and a happier family life, and maybe save a marriage or two. But more importantly, It offers you flexibility, freedom and choice as a business owner. So putting systems and procedures in place and the right amount of delegation, you won't need to work as many hours or feel like you are chained to your business anymore. And you can actually work from anywhere, anytime. And recently I met with a plumber on the Gold Coast who is packing up his business. He's closed his office. He's put all his office staff virtual, and he's delegated more authority to his team members, and he's putting his family in a camper van, and they are travelling around Australia for the next 12 months. And all that's now possible because he's got the right mindset, he's delegated what he needs to, and he's put all the right technology and staffing in place. So who is ready to have a bit more freedom in their business? I hope you all are. So where to look for some good virtual team members? Now I certainly couldn't talk about outsourcing if I didn't touch on outsourcing offshore. And yes, you certainly can get a $2 or $3 Indian to do your work for you and run your business for $500 a month. But I'm yet to find a business owner that has worked for. So, you know yourself just calling somewhere and you're not getting someone in Australia, how frustrating that is for you. So it really does you more damage than good in the long term. And they still don't understand our culture, our laws, or locations. So generally speaking, offshoring to run your business isn't an option. However, there are some tasks where that is a good option. Things like if you are converting from paper systems onto the cloud and you have old job sheets or information that you want entered into your new system, that's all something you can easily get done for $2 an hour. So data entry, perhaps researching new marketing databases you want to attract, competitor analysis, getting a list of competitor websites that you compare, perhaps doing some social media research, all those kind of things, certainly there is a place for. So to find some of that help, sites like Elance and Odesk, elance.com and odesk.com, where you put up a job and people bid on it, and then you select somebody and then they get paid once they've finished the job. Another site is called Fiverr, which has thousands of jobs listed on there that can get done for $5. So certainly if you have a few hours to kill, go on there and see what $5 can buy you these days. But there really is some great options on there like video animation, voiceover, if you wanted to get a new answering machine message done, there's professional voiceover people. You can get new logos done on there, new design work, all sorts of things, website updates for just $5. And I've had some amazing stuff done for just $5. You can also have a bit of fun. So recently I did send my best friend a naked Spanish playing guitar man singing a happy birthday and with the guitar strategically positioned for $5. So best present she ever got. Also another great site is 99 Designs. Now this is a great site if you're wanting new branding and logo done. So again it's like a work options site where you put up your requirements. But instead of people giving you a price, it's a fixed price, they actually provide you with examples of your job. So instead of having, say, 3 logos to choose from, you could end up with 90 logos to choose from. And then you only pay if you find one you like and you go ahead. So that's another popular way of, it's like crowd surfing for graphic design work. And a lot of that is offshore staff as well. So the other way is hiring direct, locally, with solo virtual assistants. So they certainly can be found on Google if you're searching Virtual Assistant Australia or Virtual Assistant, and you will find some that way. Also asking around in your local networks, it's amazing how many people would love a work from home job, and you know, then you're getting that personal recommendation as well. But if someone hasn't worked from home before, there's just a couple of things that I'll cover in a moment that you do want to ask them and make sure that they will be suited to that type of work. And of course, old school ways of recruiting and online job sites as well. So just a warning, if you're putting up a work from home position, expect to get quite a few hundred applications in 1 or 2 days. Again, it's coming back to that highly desirable flexibility that people are after these days. So again, I just want to touch on the employee issues. So if you are working with a solo VA and you are doing 80% of their revenue or their income, the same rules apply to subcontractors that you have on the crew. So that 80-20 rule will still apply. So again, if you're doing 80% of their revenue, then they come under not as a subcontractor, but they need to be an employee. So that's something to really be aware of. A lot of established VAs will not work like that. They want to be contractors, but you need to protect yourself as well. So things like workers' comp, superannuation, all that would still apply to them. And particularly with workers' compensation is that you are still having to cover them even though they work from home. So recently there was a case in the Commonwealth Bank where a worker had socks on, slid down some stairs, and she made a claim and won. So it is something that you really need to be aware of if you are going direct. So a way around that is working with a team or an agency type model. So we are a little bit different to how we work, and I'll just quickly explain that. So there are team-based models where there is a number of VAs and a number of clients that all work under an agency model. So it is just the one weekly payment because it is a straight contractor relationship. And because of that, we handle all those HR headaches, and also we have a very strict OH&S policy, and we get advised quite often on what we need to put in place to make sure our remote staff are working correctly. So we take all that headache away from you. We also do all the recruitment and have you involved as much or as little as you need. So we have a very strict and thorough recruitment process, and only about 5% of applicants actually get through the first stage. So we've set that up knowing what's worked and what hasn't worked over the last 5 years and what makes a good virtual assistant. And so we've put all those things in place so that by the time the VA gets to you or you interview them or have a quick chat, we know we've found the right one. And something that's very unique to our industry is we're very proud of our ongoing training and development program that we have. So we provide you with the staff, but they also are getting trained and developed as well in their own time and not on your time. So we have an Agent 99 program where they go through over a 12-month period 99 competencies that they need to pass, and they get rewarded as they go through those. So that's upskilling them in all areas such as email marketing, social media, basic design, understanding finances and things like that, that will inevitably help you to grow your business as well. Because we are a bigger team, we have multiple members that have areas of specialty and talents. So we have marketing and technology specialists, again, that all work in trades and field service. So we know what works and what doesn't. So you're not just getting an admin person, you're also getting marketing and technology specialists as well. And basically we handle everything you don't want to, and we really take a big picture look at your business. So we really only work with owners that are wanting to grow their business and have defined personal and business goals that they want to get to. So we get an understanding of those, and then we work out the best way that we could help and what kind of models or staff they need to get to those pictures. So what to look for when hiring a VA, and you certainly can go direct and find your own, and it often is a good alternative for a lot of people. So firstly, you want to make sure they have a good home working environment, and talk to them about what steps they have taken to provide a productive environment. So do they have an office with a closed door, or are they doing your work around the kitchen table with the kids running under their feet? And also check that they have a good internet connection as well, because remembering, you know, they're accessing the cloud, and technology forms such a big part of this strategy that you do need to make sure that they have a good connection. Also things like what other technologies do they have, such as iPads and other devices, because often they're using a version on the desktop but also a version on an iPad and helping your guys in the field. So often it is good to check what other technologies they already have to help out. Also look at the availability and boundaries. So often when you speak to someone about becoming a VA or they want to, you'll say, so what kind of hours are you available? And 9 times out of 10, they'll generally say, I'm available all the time, I'm always home with the kids, or I just do nothing, I'm home all day. And you'll actually find that a lot of times they don't. So especially if they haven't worked from home before, it does take a real commitment to not watch daytime television or just put another load of washing on or just go out for a quick bite with friends. You really need to establish boundaries and they really need to have set availability. More established and good VAs will actually tell you up front what their availability is. So these are the times and days that they're available, and often that will start a much better working relationship than thinking that someone's going to be available all the time for you, because that will cause you problems generally down the track. And another thing is, just because they work from home doesn't mean that they're available all the time either. I mean, they have set business hours as well, so you'd be surprised at how many calls I used to get at 9 o'clock on a Friday night or on a Sunday morning. So just put the same rules in place that you would your normal staff members. And certainly if there is times after hours that they need to be contacted, you do need to just let them know up front. I'm sure 9 times out of 10 that's not a problem, but it just can't be for non-urgent reoccurring issues all the time. It'll just burn them out. Why they want to work from home, and like I said before, this is a real critical driver in finding a successful VA. And I've had amazing answers to this question that have really shocked me. And generally speaking, this is probably the main question I really look to whether I'll further interview someone or not. It isn't for everybody. People think, oh, how great it would be to work from home and do everything, but it certainly isn't for everybody. They need to be really committed and driven, and you certainly want them to be honest and reliable and all those types of things you want in normal employees. But there is such an amount of talent out there now that for whatever reason are stuck at home, or going to a workplace just isn't an option anymore. One of the best team members I've ever had was a mother of a boy with cerebral palsy who was wheelchair bound. And even though he went to school every day and she was home, there were times when he would be sick and she would have to take him to hospital. And the client understood that, and they developed a great working relationship together that she really was committed to him and his role and worked very, very hard. But on the off times when the son was sick, he understood also that she would need to often go to the hospital without notice. And many a time she would work from the hospital doing his work and no one would have known. But she was super talented, but there was no way she could have held a normal position. And she would probably be one of my #1 team members. And we get a lot of people, caring for their elderly parents, or they do have young children but they're in daycare and they want to work on those days. So there's all different types of reasons. But certainly it's something to go into deeply with them when you have a chat. Also, and particularly if it's the first time they're working from home, how will they deal with isolation? So if they're really coming from a very social workplace and all of a sudden at their home, you often find that can cause them issues in dealing with that isolation, and they actually opt to go back to a workplace. They often don't stick around too long, which isn't what you want. Of course, looking at their experience and skills and touching on what kind of technology and programs that they're used to using before. Looking at what clients and other commitments they have. So if you're working with a solo VA, just checking what other commitments they have. So often they can overcommit, so it's really important to just check that out. And that's where set hours or guaranteed hours really come back into it, because you know that they're always going to be available for you. And sometimes you can just want the one person to work part-time for you, and they only want to work part-time hours, so they're quite happy with that relationship. It just depends on your needs and theirs, so just make sure you're really clear from the start. You also need to check who actually does your work. So often with VAs that they may take on the work and then get busy and then they start outsourcing it to 1 or 2 members or other VAs that they know. Or worse still, they can put it offshore. So really check who is going to do your work, and what happens if you get too busy or not able to do it. What backup plans do they have in place? And often that model can still work, but you just want to make sure that in your agreement with them that they let you know if anyone's going to do their work that you approve of first, your work that you approve of first. Also look at what's going to happen when you have leave periods. So for us, we have a very strict policy of having every procedure in a business written up so that we can quickly and easily provide temp or train up new staff for whatever reason. Also make sure you have a good agreement with them so you know exactly what's covered and what's not. And again, it comes back to expectations and setting boundaries really will make a good VA relationship. And of course, you still need to make sure that they're going to fit your company culture, even if they're not with you day in, day out. So of course, people make mistakes, and these are the big ones that I can suggest. If you can just have a heads up before you go down this path, will certainly save you a lot of time, energy and money later on. So it certainly isn't a plug-and-play situation. It's not a matter of I'm going to ring someone tomorrow, great, they're going to start on Monday and they're going to solve all my problems. Just like a normal employee, they need to have training, they need to get to understand your business. So we do say it really does take a much greater time investment from you at the start, but the more time you put into the start, the quicker you will get benefits. So really make a commitment to helping, training and educating your new VA. And it also takes a mindset change as well. So you really need to commit to the process. And sometimes it does take a VA a little bit longer than sitting in an office with you all day, hearing the way you talk, dealing with customers coming in and out. So it definitely can work. You just need to be conscious that they're not hearing all the same conversations that you are, or seeing everything that gets done in front of them. Not setting boundaries, again I've covered that, but just making sure that you know what both parties expect. Lack of communication is probably one of the biggest. You really do need to make sure they've got all the information that they need. There certainly isn't a case of oversharing. And also touch on the method of communication. How and when do you like to get communicated back? Do you like phone, text, email, Skype? Whatever the method that you like, just make sure that they know and you also respect their best way, that they like to be contacted as well. And there's a lot of great programs now that sort of take all that email back and forth out of it that are free, like job project management programs where you can allocate them the tasks and all the comments and notes sit under that. So there's some really time-saving methods to communicate, so just make sure you're clear with that up front. Delegating the wrong type of tasks. Now this comes back to really looking at the tasks that you're doing. So you may be doing tasks that you enjoy or you find easy to do, but really as the business owner, are they the tasks that you should be doing? So you want to get the most possible value out of your VA, so making sure you really have a look at the tasks that you need to do and that you can outsource before you go hiring, because you want to make sure you get someone that meets their skills. And for example, working with us, we go through all that for you and then match that to the suitable candidate. Again, lack of inclusion and appreciation, just a small thing of, just making sure you are saying thanks at the end of the week, that if you are doing anything for team, that they're included as much as they can be. So, for example, if you're having a Melbourne Cup suite with the boys, that they be included, or there's birthday celebrations and things like that. Where possible, I know it's not always possible, but certainly just making them really feel part of the team. Paying your VAs on time is another really important one. You want your work done on time, so just respecting that and making their payments timely. Again, a lot of these are part-time people that work for themselves, so they really rely heavily on having their invoices paid. And I know a number of VAs that will prioritise work according to how they get paid by their clients. So it's a really important one. And also setting directions and having outcome. So looking at what goals you want to achieve together, timelines, KPIs that you want to put in place. How quick are quotes responded to? How quick is the phone answered? When do you start chasing customers for overdue payments? What's that process? So really going through all the processes and looking at your directions and your outcomes and your goals that you want to achieve for them. So I thought the best way to demonstrate how all this could work is giving you a real-life case study. And this is a client, so they're a tree lopper that I've worked with for the last couple of years, who's seen a dramatic increase in the way their business operates. So a few years ago he bought the business and really wanted to create some efficiencies in it. So what we did was we sat down, we went through what his goals were and what he thought areas that he needed to cut and areas that he needed to improve. And then we put a strategy in place that dealt with all these. And another big thing for him was he didn't want to be heavily on the tools, and he also wanted to have flexibility so that he could be involved as much or as little as he needed to be if he wanted to travel. And only last month he spent a month in the US going to industry conferences and things like that that never would have been possible before. So what were some of the outcomes for him? So he closed his physical office because he no longer needed it, and he saved money on his leases, his equipment and his printing. So again, he would have all paper job sheets and he went all electronic. He reduced his admin staff by 50%, so he had 2 staff members, and we were able to create some efficiencies and put a lot more things automated, so that was able to cut back that extra help. He increased his sales conversion by 20%. We began setting him up on iPad so that he could provide quotes, drawings and photos on the spot on his iPad and would email that to the customer before he'd left their property. And 9 times out of 10 they would give him the okay on the spot to proceed. So no longer is putting a quote in the mail or getting back to them acceptable anymore. They really want instant quotes, and that's a lot of the time what your other competitors are doing. The other big thing for him was, he was providing drawings and photos with very detailed instructions about what was going to happen. So there was no issues down the track when the customer would get their tree cut and it wasn't in the right position or the wrong tree. So a lot of that job issues decreased as well. He became much more strategic and doubled his inbound leads. And so he looked at a lot more partnerships with councils and schools at the higher end of his market, and he also increased his marketing efforts. So he started doing things like trade shows and things like that he'd never previously had the time for. So for him, he travels around the country doing certain trade shows, and when he does, he will get on average 150 to 200 warm leads, and we would bring in extra VAs to help book in those quotes. So first I'll figure out how serious they are and ask a few questions, and then if they're suitable, they would actually book them in the quoting calendar and away they go. So once those quotes were done, that staff was no longer needed and they were gone. So if you look at the amount of business that those quotes brought in and the investment in having a couple of extra VAs on board for a week really did make a difference to his bottom line. He also increased his credibility by becoming more involved in his industry association, and he also won an award for sustainability to do with his new quoting procedures and all the paper that he saved going completely virtual and on the cloud. So everything from his quotes to his job sheets to plans, all that was paperless now. And the biggest thing from him is that for his customers, he's gone from a 3-day wait list to a 6 to 8 week wait list, just due to the amount of demand that he needs. And of course that's not great from a customer perspective, and he's certainly looking at now putting on additional crews to handle that demand. But that just gives you an example of what really can be achieved with outsourcing the right way and really investing in the process. So I'm hoping that a few of you would love to get results like that in their business. And there is really so much more I could have covered today, and tools and examples that I could share with you, and I just know this will make a difference to your life and to your business. So what I've done is I've put together, just for HIA members, a 7-day free email series. And this will cover the 7 key areas where it is easy to make a difference in your business. It's free, there's no catches or obligations, and it's all things that you can actually investigate and put into place yourself if you want. But action is everything. So I'm starting it tomorrow. So you need to sign up at tradiesva.com.au/HIA. So just enter in your details there, and the emails will start coming from tomorrow. So it'll just be one video a day for the next 7 days, all with tips and tools and things that you can implement. So some of the things that we will cover is we'll look at the top 10 must-have online apps and tools. Generally speaking, are great for tradies, and depending on your industry, some will be relevant and not, but you'll definitely get some tools out of there that will help you. How to financially keep track of your numbers and how to make that process much easier than maybe it currently is. How to turn more quotes into sales, how to get success with social media. So just a few tips and tools and time-saving things to keep in mind. 5 ways to automate your marketing so that it works for you 24/7. How to streamline your customer service so that you are making an impact every time. And 7, again, we go into a bit more deep dive about how to work with the Superstar VA. Now I know there's a lot of information covered in that, and I know you'll have even more questions specific to your business. So I'll also do another bonus live question and answer webinar next Thursday. So if you have any questions that are specific to your business or industry, come with them and we'll go through them. I'll spend as much time as you need and answer as many questions that you have. But that's exclusive for the people on the call today. So you'll definitely be able to get an answer for whatever questions you have. So it won't be too big of a group. So again, that website starting tomorrow is tradiesva.com.au/HIA. And again, it's just something I've done for you guys. It's full of information, no catches. I think you'll get a lot out of it. So there's my details. If you have any questions or would like any further information or have a quick chat about your business, but I certainly can take any questions that anyone has now. So please fire.
Michaela, we have a question. Are you able to have a VA? I think you mentioned there that you did it with the tree lopper, where you brought a VA in specially when he had a lot of inquiries. Is that possible, just to bring in a VA for a certain period, and then they can handle those inquiries, and then you might not necessarily need them after that?
Yeah, definitely. So that's where you'd work with a VA in like a contractor scenario, so it's not an ongoing situation. So you can certainly pick and choose then as much or as little as you need. Sometimes working that way, you won't always have them available as much as you need, or they may say, look, I can help you, but I'm booked up for 2 weeks. But 9 times out of 10, they'll be able to help you, and that's the benefit of outsourcing, is that you can pick and choose when you want the staff on there. So if you do have busier times of the year or around different shows and things like that, it certainly has that flexibility that you can certainly have.
Okay, and I know from our presenter last week, Catherine, she has a lot of virtual assistants, but when possible she tries to catch up with them. Is that something you recommend too, if you have someone who is in your sort of area, that you would catch up with them occasionally face to face?
Certainly if location isn't an issue, definitely being able to catch up with them face to face is a good thing, and when we would highly recommend that. But also some of our team members do catch up on Skype, so I know it's not the same, but at least they have that face to face. But I definitely would encourage as much as possible to meeting with them in person, and that just builds a better relationship. You get to know them just that little bit more. But if that isn't possible, it's still not detrimental, but if you can do it, I'd certainly recommend it. And also, sometimes we do have VAs that do work remotely, but they do once a month go do the team meeting on site or go to any social functions. So most of their work is done off-site. And we do have some that do want them coming on-site and off-site, so you can have a mixture as well. It's completely flexible and how you want to set it up. So as long as you know from the start exactly what you're after, what you want, and then go look for the person that's going to suit what you need.
So is Skype a popular, technology that's used these days, where you can actually see people face to face? I haven't personally used it myself.
Yes.
I can't work out the technology, but I'm sure if I had a VA, they could probably do it for me.
Yeah, so definitely Skype would be the most popular way to communicate. So it also has chat function as well, so you don't necessarily have to be on a call or video calling all the time. You can just quickly message chat questions like you do on a webinar. But probably 90% of my clients are now working off Skype. Or another alternative is things like Google Hangouts, which is free to use, and you can have a video conference with team members all for free for up to, I think it's about 9 people on Google Hangouts. So if you did have a larger virtual team, there's all free, cost-effective ways to, video conferencing in. But Skype is definitely by far the most popular. And it is easy to use. You just have to get used to it.
Yeah, so I guess Jamal has asked, isn't there a lack of human touch if you're going, virtual? But I guess if you implement and use some of this new technology where you can use things like Google Hangout where people feel that they are actually connected, it's probably not too much different to, I know there's been times when I've had to work independently when my bosses have been out on site all day anyway.
Yeah, that's right. And there's certainly things that you can do, like we recommend that you do have, whether it be daily or weekly phone or Skype catch-ups. So just have that open communication as much as possible. And you certainly will find that you can have that human touch by using technology or often the on-site. And I do have some clients actually really have found a great VA that's in another state, and they actually, once a quarter or every 6 months will either fly up or fly down to meet them, and they're more than happy to do that because of the cost savings and effectiveness they've had on their business. So there certainly are ways around it. I know that little surprises in the mail and things like that, I know it's very old school, but that can also help with that human interaction as well. But the upside of that too is that you are getting staff that can be much more productive because they're not having too much human interaction as well.
And Tanya's asked, do you ever find that by the time you provide a VA with all the info they need to do a task, for example a DA, you could have done the work yourself? Does that come back to you matching up people with the right skill set so that they can slot in as quickly as possible to their particular industry?
Yeah, it definitely comes back to that recruiting and hiring process, but you do need time when you start to get them to learn that process, and then the next time they do it or you need it done, it's not going to take you extra time. So that's where I talked about the first month or two is really investing time and effort in building a good relationship and putting that information together. So one thing I recommend is if you are looking at delegating and outsourcing, that you start, which you should do anyway, but start putting your procedures in written form. And I know that can be quite time consuming, but it really will help you down the track when you need someone to do something for you. But if it's a task that you certainly want ongoing and need done, it can be worth the time of outsourcing it. What you also need to weigh up is your time spending also doing those tasks. Like, really, is that the best use of your time? Yes, you need to spend time handing it off, but again it comes back to making choices and focusing on the things that are going to grow your business, and that's a choice you have to make.
So if you want a VA to be able to, say, answer your phones, which was an example that you've given, do you need a special phone system? I mean, how do you do that with your current phone system?
Yeah, so it does come back to what kind of phone system the clients have. So we have a few ways of doing it. Some just provide a mobile phone we use to take and receive calls. Others are on like cloud PBX or VoIP systems, and we can just plug into that remotely. Others, if they use a 1300 number or something like that, we get it diverted to a home line or a personal office line. Sometimes we get them diverted through Skype. So it all just depends on the current system that you have, and sometimes that does need a change if you're wanting to close your office and move virtually. We find a lot of clients actually just buy or put on their plans because they get good deals already, just another mobile phone that the VA uses. But again, it just depends on current ways that it's set up. If you have a 1300 number or a 13 number, 1800 number, something like that, does make it a little bit easier because we can divert calls, but there's certainly ways around all the different setups.
Okay, we've had a few questions about obviously the cost. Is it something that's affordable for a small business, and can you pay by the hour, or do you have to have a set contract?
Yeah, so there's a few different pricing models. So you certainly can, if you have a set project that you want done, you can certainly have that priced and quoted on by a VA and say, okay, this is going to take me this long to do it, or this is the price we'll charge for that. So that's like a fixed project price. You then can just have a casual VA, so you just pay hourly for what time you need. And that's a very casual relationship, so you only need to, like I said, pay for the hours that you need. It then goes into guaranteed or set hours, so you may purchase 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week depending on what you need and how you want to grow. And some companies, so for us, we don't do any casual work. All our work is set hours per week, just because we're just too busy to manage the jobs that come and go. So if you're looking for something with a lot of flexibility, looking at going direct to a solo VA will be something that you should look at. The prices do vary, and you would be looking at, for a good VA, anywhere from $35 to $50 an hour, depending on the types of skills that they have. You can get some for around $20 to $25 an hour. There's certainly more admin-based who tend to just take all the work, and often you'll have times getting it fit in. Often if you have a casual VA, you can come to some kind of package arrangement where you might have 10 hours a month or something like that that makes the price a little bit cheaper for you. So it just depends on what your kind of needs are and things like that. But if you weigh up your time doing those tasks and what you charge for an hourly rate, as opposed to paying someone else to do it, I think you'll find that, you know, it's about a third of the cost of you actually spending your time to do it. So you need to, again, weigh up the time it's taking you to answer the phone and deal with customer inquiries or fiddling around on your website. Is that really time well spent? And just weighing that up.
Yeah, and I just wanted to remind members, if they are planning to employ someone directly, they can always contact the HIA and speak to the workplace advisors and get some advice on contracts. And, you know, that goes with anybody that you're employing, whether it's a, you know, contractor or an office person. And I was just going to also ask, with access to calendars and diaries, is that also something that's fairly simple?
Yes, certainly. So it does require you to move away from paper-based diaries, though, but using things, you know, like Google Share calendars and things like that, and often job management programs have all the scheduling built in. So all things like time, etc., are put in and is easily accessible wherever you are. So booking in jobs in your calendar is one of the easier things to do. And so you just need to look at your calendar at the beginning of the day or whenever, and all your jobs and bookings will already be in there.
Okay. And Roger has just asked for clarification on the definition of a VA compared to part-time people. And I guess that definition is that they're not actually located physically in the same place that you are, and that you can call on them when you need them. I guess a bit like the HIA, we're often on call.
So technically speaking, a VA is often referred to somebody that is self-employed, it's their own business, and they are a contractor, so they actually operate their own business that you can call on whenever you need, or as much as you need. But the main difference really is that they're off-site, so they're not working with you. So it's quite a very broad term, because you can have website VAs, you can have general VAs, you can have marketing VAs, you can have all types. But generally speaking, when you say I want a VA, often more times than not, you are speaking to people that want to be contractors and self-employed. They don't want to be employees. So then you would be looking at more, employees that work from home. VAs often will provide all their equipment. So they provide their internet and their computers and whatever they need to run their business. Often with an employee, you may have to provide or subsidise extra stuff or provide equipment and things like that. So for us, for example, with some of our guys, we pay for all the phone calls, we provide the phone, things like that. Whereas employees, you just need to, also it is really important about that subcontractor rule that I talk about again. So you just need to check how much of that work, subcontractor work, is doing, whether you are 80% of their revenue or not, because you will find a lot of VAs that, that could be a problem. But when you are, say, looking online for VAs, a lot of them will be contractors and not want to be employees. So often it's better posting a role like you would an old school employee type role in traditional ways, like on job sheets or job sites, or asking around. So, but technically VA, the term is just that they are a remote assistant.
And there's also, as you mentioned, those other sites for outsourcing, and after speaking to you I did go on to Fiverr, and I did get some logos designed for my brother-in-law, which were great. And I've also had a look at Elance. So just that people out there know that if you're trying to, for example, do some marketing, there's people on Elance that can actually help you with copywriting. They can help you proofread. They can help with the layout. They can even, I even got somebody responding in Australia with some quotes for printing. So I really recommend having a look on those websites if you are looking at sort of trying to get some work done. It's a great way just to have a few different people looking at your work, and they come back with the price, not on Fiverr but Elance, the price for that job, and they are from all around the world. I've had people from the UK writing to me, as I said, Australia. So I really recommend if you need to get some work done and you don't have a huge budget, to have a look at some of those websites. And I'm just conscious of the time. We've gone a little bit over, so I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today, and to thank Michaela. Hopefully it's got some people sort of maybe even thinking about the idea of outsourcing some of their work. If it's something that you feel comfortable with, definitely, it sounds like it's the way of the future. As Michaela mentioned, there are those videos. I will send that link through, as well as a recording of the webinar today. And I hope everybody has a good afternoon, and if you have any specific questions around costings and things like that, just drop Michaela a line. I'm sure she'll be happy, obligation free. There's no hard sell there. So once again, thank you everybody, and thank you, Michaela.
No worries, it's my pleasure, and certainly happy to chat anytime, even if you have just questions about a VA that you've hired and you're not happy with, or you want tips for doing it yourself. I'm more than happy to help, so please just get in touch.
Great. Thank you everybody. Have a good afternoon. Bye.